Rebellion of the Earth, Trapped in the Depths, written by Reuben White. Chapter 1, The Call of Fortune. Jack Thompson stood atop the rugged ridge, the wind whipping through his hair as he gazed out over the sprawling expanse of the Appalachian Mountains. With a weathered hand, he adjusted the brim of his hat, shielding his eyes from the glare of the setting sun. Beside him stood his loyal companions, a ragtag band of miners drawn together by the promise of untold riches buried deep within the earth. "It's out there, boys," Jack declared, his voice tinged with a mix of determination and excitement. "The map doesn't lie. There's gold waiting for us, just waiting to be unearthed." Big John Harris, a mountain of a man with arms like tree trunks, nodded in agreement, his steely gaze fixed on the horizon. "Aye, Jack, we'll find it. Ain't no mountain too high or tunnel too dark for us to conquer." Dr. Emily Barnes, a woman of science amidst a sea of roughnecks, adjusted her glasses as she studied the ancient parchment in her hands. "According to the map, the mine should be just beyond that ridge," she said, pointing towards a looming peak in the distance. Mike Collins, the youngest member of the group, practically vibrated with excitement. "I can't believe we're actually gonna do this," he exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. "We're gonna be rich." Sam Johnson, the grizzled veteran of the group, remained silent, his weathered face betraying none of the emotions swirling within. He had seen his fair share of mines and tunnels in his time, and he knew all too well the dangers that lay ahead. With a silent nod from Jack, the group set off, their boots crunching against the rocky terrain as they made their way towards the hidden mine. Each step brought them closer to their destiny, closer to the promise of fortune and glory that awaited them in the depths of the earth. As they reached the base of the ridge, Jack paused, a gleam of excitement in his eyes. "This is it, folks," he declared, holding the map aloft for all to see. According to the map, the entrance to the mine should be just beyond that bend. With a renewed sense of purpose, the group pressed onward, their hearts pounding with anticipation as they rounded the bend and beheld the entrance to the mine. It was a gaping maw in the side of the mountain, a yawning chasm that seemed to swallow the very light around it. Without hesitation, Jack led the way, his lantern casting eerie shadows against the walls of the tunnel as they descended into the bowels of the earth. The air grew colder with each step, and the darkness pressed in around them like a suffocating shroud. But still, they pressed on, driven by the promise of gold and the thrill of adventure. For in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where whispers of fortune mingled with the earth's ancient secrets, Jack Thompson and his team of miners were about to embark on the journey of a lifetime. Chapter 2, Into the Abyss. The narrow tunnel stretched before them like a yawning abyss, its walls slick with moisture and shadows lurking in every crevice. Jack Thompson led the way, his lantern casting a feeble glow that barely pierced the oppressive darkness. With each step, the air grew colder, sending shivers down their spines as they descended deeper into the belly of the earth. The walls seemed to close in around them, pressing in on all sides like a vice, and the silence hung heavy in the air, broken only by the echo of their footsteps. Dr. Emily Barnes trailed behind, her keen eye scanning the walls for any sign of geological anomalies. "According to the map, the vein of gold should be just ahead," she called out, her voice echoing off the damp stone walls. But as they rounded a bend in the tunnel, they were met with an unexpected sight. Instead of the glittering promise of gold, they found themselves faced with a labyrinth of ancient tunnels, twisting and turning like the coils of a serpent. Tension crackled in the air as the group exchanged wary glances, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of their resolve. "This ain't right," Big John muttered, his brow furrowed with concern. "The map didn't mention nothin' about no labyrinth." Jack's jaw clenched with frustration, his grip tightening on the hilt of his pickaxe. "We press on," he declared, his voice firm with resolve. "There's bound to be another way to the gold. We just gotta keep moving." And so they pressed on, navigating the treacherous maze of tunnels with a mixture of determination and dread. Each twist and turn brought them deeper into the unknown, further from the safety of the surface and closer to the heart of the mountain's secrets. But as they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, they began to sense that they were not alone. Shadows danced at the edges of their vision, and strange whispers echoed through the darkness, sending shivers down their spines. Mike Collins glanced nervously over his shoulder, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "Did you hear that?" he whispered, his voice trembling with fear. But before anyone could respond, a sudden rumble echoed through the tunnel, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. The walls groaned and shifted, sending chunks of rock tumbling down around them. Panic seized the group as they scrambled for cover, their hearts pounding in their chests as the tunnel threatened to collapse around them. With a deafening roar, the ceiling gave way, showering them with debris as the world descended into chaos. When the dust finally settled, they found themselves trapped amidst a sea of rubble, the way forward blocked by a wall of stone. Jack's heart sank as he surveyed the destruction, the weight of their predicament settling heavy on his shoulders. "We're trapped," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the sound of their labored breathing. "God help us, we're trapped." Chapter 3, The Earth Rebels. The thunderous rumble echoed through the labyrinth of tunnels like the angry roar of a vengeful god. Rocks cascaded from the ceiling, dust filling the air as the ground shook beneath their feet. Panic seized the miners as chaos erupted in the wake of the cave-in. Jack Thompson stumbled backwards, shielding his face from the onslaught of debris as he fought to maintain his footing. "Get down," he shouted, his voice barely audible above the cacophony of destruction. With hearts pounding in their chests, the miners dropped to the ground, seeking shelter amidst the chaos. Dust filled their lungs, making it difficult to breathe as they huddled together, praying for the violence to end. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the rumbling ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence broken only by the labored gasps of the trapped miners. Jack pushed himself to his feet, his hands trembling as he surveyed the devastation that surrounded them. "We're trapped," he muttered, his voice heavy with resignation. "The way out is blocked." Dr. Emily Barnes scrambled to her feet, her face pale beneath the layer of dust that coated her skin. "We need to assess the damage," she said, her voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at her insides. "We need to figure out a way to get out of here." With grim determination, the group set to work, their hands digging through the rubble in search of a way forward. But with each passing moment, their hopes dwindled as they realized the magnitude of their predicament. "It's no use," Big John declared, his voice tinged with frustration as he surveyed the impassable wall of stone that blocked their path. "We're trapped like rats in a cage." But Jack refused to give in to despair, his mind racing as he searched for a way to escape their underground prison. "There's gotta be another way out," he said, his voice tinged with desperation. "We just gotta find it." And so they pressed on, their hands and hearts joined in a desperate struggle against the oppressive weight of the earth that threatened to crush them. Hours passed in a blur of sweat and tears as they worked tirelessly to uncover a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. And then, just when all seemed lost, a faint glimmer of light pierced the darkness, beckoning them forward like a beacon of hope in the blackest of nights. With renewed determination, they redoubled their efforts, their hands flying faster as they clawed their way towards freedom. And then, with a final heave, the wall of stone gave way, collapsing in on itself as they burst forth into the blinding light of day. Gasping for breath, they emerged from the depths of the earth, their bodies battered and bruised but their spirits unbroken. "We made it," Jack whispered, his voice choked with emotion as he surveyed the world outside the mine. "Against all odds, we made it." And as they stood on the precipice of freedom, their hearts filled with gratitude for the second chance that fate had bestowed upon them. For in the face of unimaginable adversity, they had proven that the human spirit is capable of enduring even the darkest of nights and emerging into the light once more. Chapter 4, Bonds of Steel. Jack Thompson stood at the forefront of the ragged group of miners, his resolve unwavering despite the trials they had faced. His eyes, steely with determination, scanned the faces of his companions, each one bearing the weight of exhaustion and fear. "We may be trapped, but we ain't beaten yet," Jack declared, his voice cutting through the oppressive silence that hung over them like a shroud. "We've faced worse odds before, and we've come out on top. This ain't gonna be no different." His words sparked a flicker of hope in the hearts of the weary miners, a glimmer of light amidst the darkness that threatened to consume them. With a newfound sense of purpose, they rallied around their leader, drawing strength from his unwavering resolve. Big John stepped forward, his massive frame towering over the rest of the group like a mountain of granite. "Jack's right," he boomed, his voice echoing off the cavern walls. "We may be trapped, but we ain't alone. We got each other, and that's all we need to make it out of here alive." And so, with Jack's leadership guiding their every move, the miners set to work assessing their resources and formulating a plan for survival. Dr. Emily Barnes, the voice of reason amidst the chaos, took charge of rationing their dwindling supplies, ensuring that each member received their fair share of food and water. Meanwhile, Mike Collins, the youngest member of the group, put his agility and resourcefulness to use, scouring the tunnels for any signs of weakness or potential escape routes. His youthful energy proved to be a valuable asset as he scaled sheer cliffs and squeezed through narrow passages in search of a way out. Samuel Johnson, the grizzled veteran of the group, shared his wealth of knowledge about mines and tunnels, offering guidance and advice to his companions as they navigated the treacherous maze of passages. His steady presence served as a beacon of strength in the face of uncertainty, grounding the group amidst the chaos that surrounded them. And Jack, ever the leader, remained steadfast in his determination to see his team through to safety. With each passing moment, his resolve grew stronger, his mind racing with plans and strategies to overcome the obstacles that stood in their way. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, moments of doubt and fear still threatened to overwhelm them. The walls seemed to close in around them, pressing in on all sides like a vice, and the darkness whispered of untold horrors lurking just beyond their reach. Yet, despite the overwhelming odds stacked against them, the miners refused to surrender to despair. With each passing moment, their bonds grew stronger, forged in the crucible of adversity as they fought tooth and nail for their survival. For in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where echoes of gold mingled with the earth's ancient secrets, Jack Thompson and his team of miners were bound together by something far stronger than steel. They were bound by the unbreakable bonds of camaraderie and the indomitable spirit of the human soul. And together, they would face whatever trials lay ahead, united in their determination to emerge from the darkness into the light once more. Chapter 5, Navigating the Labyrinth. Dr. Emily Barnes squinted at the intricate patterns of the rock formations, her fingers tracing the contours of the ancient stone as she sought clues to their salvation. The dim light of their lanterns cast eerie shadows across the labyrinth of tunnels, each twist and turn a potential trap in their desperate bid for escape. "We need to keep moving," Dr. Barnes declared, her voice steady despite the rising tide of fear that threatened to engulf them. "According to my calculations, the path to safety lies beyond that junction." Jack Thompson nodded, his brow furrowed with determination as he surveyed the maze of tunnels before them. "Lead the way, Doc," he said, his voice a reassuring anchor amidst the chaos that surrounded them. With Dr. Barnes at the helm, the group pressed forward, their footsteps echoing off the damp stone walls as they navigated the treacherous maze of tunnels. Each step brought them closer to their goal, yet the shadows seemed to grow darker with every passing moment, concealing hidden dangers lurking just beyond the reach of their flickering lanterns. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, they encountered obstacles at every turn, collapsed passageways, treacherous chasms, and hidden traps lying in wait like silent sentinels guarding the secrets of the earth. But with each challenge they faced, the group's resolve only grew stronger, their determination to survive a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. Yet, as they delved deeper into the heart of the labyrinth, tension simmered beneath the surface, threatening to tear apart the fragile bonds that held them together. Mike Collins, his youthful bravado masking a deep-seated fear, clashed with Big John Harris, whose stoic silence belied a simmering anger born of frustration and uncertainty. Jack intervened, his voice a calming presence amidst the rising storm of conflict. "We're all in this together," he reminded them, his words a rallying cry for unity in the face of adversity. "We need to put aside our differences and work as a team if we're going to make it out of here alive." And so they pressed on, their footsteps echoing through the darkness as they fought to overcome the obstacles that lay in their path. With Dr. Barnes leading the way, her expertise guiding them through the treacherous terrain, they forged ahead, their spirits buoyed by the promise of salvation that lay just beyond the next bend in the tunnel. But as they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, they could not shake the feeling that they were being watched, that unseen eyes followed their every move from the shadows. And with each passing moment, the darkness seemed to press in around them, threatening to swallow them whole in its suffocating embrace. Yet still they pressed on, their determination unwavering in the face of the unknown. For in the heart of the labyrinth, where the earth itself seemed to conspire against them, Jack Thompson and his team of miners refused to surrender to the darkness that sought to consume them. Chapter 6. The shadow of despair. In the dimly lit confines of the labyrinthine tunnels, the atmosphere grew thick with tension and fear. The dwindling glow of their lanterns cast long shadows against the damp walls as the miners pressed on, their breaths shallow and ragged in the stale air. Dr. Emily Barnes furrowed her brow as she checked the readings on her oxygen meter. The numbers were plummeting faster than she had anticipated, each tick of the clock bringing them closer to a silent suffocation in the depths of the earth. "We don't have much time," she murmured, her voice tinged with urgency. Jack Thompson's jaw clenched with apprehension as he surveyed the weary faces of his team. The weight of their predicament hung heavy on his shoulders, threatening to crush him beneath its burden. "We need to keep moving," he said, his voice strained with the effort of maintaining composure. "We can't afford to stop now." But as they pressed on, the cracks in their unity began to widen, fracturing the fragile bonds that held them together. Tension simmered beneath the surface, fueled by fear and desperation, threatening to tear the group apart at the seams. Mike Collins shot a wary glance at Big John, his eyes clouded with suspicion. "How do we know we can trust him?" he whispered, his voice laced with distrust. Big John's fists clenched at his sides as he bristled with indignation. "I ain't the one letting us into this mess," he retorted, his voice rising with frustration. "Maybe if you spent less time running your mouth and more time pulling your weight, we wouldn't be in this mess to begin with." The tension hung heavy in the air as the miners exchanged heated words, their tempers flaring in the face of impending doom. Jack stepped forward, his voice cutting through the discord like a knife. "Enough," he shouted, his eyes blazing with fury. "We don't have time for this. We need to focus on finding a way out of here, or we're all gonna die." Silence descended upon the group as they recoiled from Jack's outburst, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. In the dim glow of the lanterns, they saw reflected the stark reality of their situation, alone in the depths of the earth, with death lurking around every corner. But amidst the despair, a glimmer of hope emerged as Jack confronted his own demons from the past. Memories of his wife and child flashed before his eyes, their faces haunting him in the darkness. He had lost them in a similar cave-in years ago, and the guilt had weighed heavy on his soul ever since. With a heavy heart, Jack pushed aside his own pain, channeling his grief into a renewed determination to save his team. "We're gonna make it out of here," he declared, his voice firm with resolve. "I won't let history repeat itself. Not again." And so, with their leader's words ringing in their ears, the miners pressed on, their spirits bolstered by a newfound sense of purpose. For in the shadow of despair, they found the strength to confront their fears and fight for their survival against all odds. Chapter 7. A Glimmer of Hope. As the miners trudged wearily through the labyrinthine tunnels, their lanterns casting feeble glimmers of light against the oppressive darkness, a sense of despair threatened to engulf them. The dwindling oxygen levels weighed heavy on their chests, each breath a struggle against the suffocating confines of their underground prison. But just when all hope seemed lost, a voice pierced the silence like a beacon in the night. "Wait," Sam Johnson called out, his tone tinged with excitement. "I think I found something." He gestured towards a narrow crevice in the wall, barely visible amidst the shadows. With a surge of renewed hope, the miners crowded around, their eyes widening with astonishment as they beheld the hidden passage revealed before them. Dr. Emily Barnes's heart leaped with anticipation as she peered into the darkness, her mind racing with the possibilities. "This could be our way out," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack Thompson's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the passage, his mind already racing with plans and possibilities. "We need to move quickly," he said, his voice tinged with urgency. "There's no telling how much longer our oxygen will last." With renewed determination, the miners pressed on, their footsteps echoing through the narrow passage as they ventured deeper into the heart of the mountain. Each step brought them closer to the promise of freedom, closer to the elusive escape route that beckoned them forward. But as they ventured deeper into the darkness, their path was suddenly blocked by an unexpected obstacle, a towering monolith of stone that loomed before them like a sentinel guarding the secrets of the earth. Jack's heart sank as he surveyed the massive rock shelf that blocked their path, its sheer size and weight insurmountable by any means they possessed. "We're trapped," he muttered, his voice heavy with defeat. But Sam refused to give in to despair, his eyes gleaming with determination as he surveyed the obstacle before them. "There's gotta be a way to move it," he said, his voice filled with conviction. "We just need to figure out how." With renewed hope, the miners set to work, their hands and minds joined in a desperate struggle against the unyielding stone. They tried everything they could think of, from brute force to makeshift tools, but each attempt ended in failure as the rock shelf remained unmoved. As the hours passed and their oxygen dwindled, desperation threatened to consume them once more. But amidst the darkness, a spark of inspiration ignited within Jack's mind, a plan born of desperation and determination. "We need to work together," he declared, his voice echoing through the tunnels like a rallying cry. "If we combine our strength and resources, we can move this rock shelf and find our way to safety." And so, with their spirits renewed and their resolve unbroken, the miners banded together, their hands joined in a collective effort to overcome the final obstacle standing between them and freedom. For in the face of adversity, they had found the strength to confront their fears and fight for their survival against all odds. Chapter 8, The Final Trial. Jack Thompson stood before the towering rock shelf, his heart heavy with the weight of the past. Memories of loss and tragedy flooded his mind, threatening to overwhelm him as he stared into the abyss of the unknown. His hands clenched at his sides, his knuckles white with tension, as he grappled with the significance of the obstacle before him. It wasn't just a rock shelf blocking their path to freedom, it was a reminder of his own failures, of the loved ones he had lost in a similar cave-in years ago. Dr. Emily Barnes approached him, her eyes filled with empathy as she placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do this alone," she said, her voice soft with understanding. "We're here for you, Jack. We'll get through this together." Jack's jaw tightened as he nodded, his resolve hardening with determination. "You're right," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil raging within. "We're in this together." With renewed determination, Jack turned to his team, his eyes blazing with a fire born of desperation and defiance. "Listen up, everyone," he called out, his voice echoing through the tunnels. "We're gonna get through this. But we need to work together." The miners nodded in agreement, their faces grim with determination as they gathered around, their minds already racing with plans and possibilities. They may have been trapped in the depths of the earth, but they refused to let despair win. Together, they pooled their limited resources, scouring the tunnels for anything that could help them in their desperate struggle against the unyielding stone. Pickaxes and shovels were wielded with renewed vigor, their blows ringing out like a symphony of defiance against the oppressive silence of the underground. But as time ticked away and their efforts yielded little progress, doubt crept into their minds like a whisper in the darkness. Mike Collins paced back and forth, his hands shaking with anxiety as he surveyed the rock shelf before them. "We're never gonna make it out of here," he muttered, his voice laced with defeat. "We're gonna die down here, just like everyone else." But Jack refused to let despair take hold, his eyes burning with determination as he faced his team. "We can't give up now," he said, his voice firm with resolve. "We've come too far to turn back. We just need to keep pushing forward, no matter what." With renewed resolve, the miners pressed on, their minds focused on the task at hand as they redoubled their efforts to move the rock shelf. Each blow of the pickaxe echoed through the tunnels like a heartbeat, a testament to their unyielding determination to overcome the final trial standing between them and freedom. And then, just when all hope seemed lost, a fissure appeared in the rock shelf, widening with each successive blow until finally, with a deafening roar, the obstacle crumbled before them, collapsing in on itself like a house of cards. A wave of relief washed over the miners as they beheld the path to freedom revealed before them, the light of dawn beckoning them forward like a guiding beacon in the darkness. With weary but triumphant smiles, they emerged from the depths of the earth, their spirits soaring on wings of victory as they left the shadows of the past behind and stepped into the light of a new day. Chapter 9, Triumph and Liberation. As the final remnants of the rock shelf crumbled away, the miners wasted no time in seizing their newfound opportunity for escape. With hearts pounding and adrenaline coursing through their veins, they surged forward into the hidden passage, their lanterns casting flickering shadows against the walls as they raced against time to reach the surface. The narrow confines of the tunnel seemed to stretch on endlessly, each step bringing them closer to the promise of freedom but also closer to the ever-encroaching darkness that threatened to engulf them. Dr. Emily Barnes led the way, her knowledge of the Earth's inner workings guiding their path as they navigated the treacherous maze of tunnels with a mixture of desperation and determination. But as they pressed onward, their progress was hampered by unexpected obstacles that threatened to derail their escape. Loose rocks tumbled from the ceiling, forcing them to duck and weave to avoid being struck, while narrow passageways threatened to trap them in their claustrophobic confines. With every passing moment, the weight of the earth seemed to press down upon them, the air growing thinner with each labored breath as the oxygen levels continued to dwindle. Panic threatened to consume them as they struggled to maintain their footing amidst the chaos, their minds racing with thoughts of the fate that awaited them if they failed to reach the surface in time. But through sheer force of will and unwavering determination, they pressed on, their resolve unbroken even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. With each step, they drew closer to the light that beckoned them forward like a beacon in the darkness, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that freedom lay just beyond their grasp. And then, just when it seemed that all hope was lost, they emerged from the depths of the earth into the blinding light of dawn, their lungs filled with the sweet air of liberation as they cast aside the shackles of their underground prison and stepped into the embrace of a new day. Cheers erupted from the miners as they beheld the world outside the mine, their hearts soaring with triumph as they basked in the warmth of the sun's rays. Tears mingled with sweat on their dirt-streaked faces as they embraced one another, united in their shared victory over the forces of darkness that had sought to claim them as their own. For in that exhilarating moment of liberation, they knew that they had emerged from the depths of despair stronger and more resilient than they had ever been before. They had faced death head-on and emerged victorious, their spirits forever marked by the echoes of gold and the depths of peril they had conquered together. And as they turned their backs on the darkness of the mine and set out into the world beyond, they knew that they carried with them a bond forged in the crucible of adversity, a bond that would endure long after the echoes of their harrowing ordeal had faded into memory. Chapter 10 Echoes of Gold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the rugged landscape of the Appalachian Mountains, Jack Thompson and his team emerged from the depths of the mine, their faces illuminated by the fading light of day. They stood together on the threshold of freedom, their hearts heavy with the weight of the journey they had endured, but also filled with a sense of pride and accomplishment. "We did it," Jack whispered, his voice barely audible over the gentle rustle of the wind. "Against all odds, we made it out alive." The other miners nodded in agreement, their eyes reflecting the flickering light of the lanterns as they surveyed the world outside the mine. It was a world transformed, bathed in the soft glow of twilight, and yet somehow unchanged by the harrowing ordeal they had just endured. Dr. Emily Barnes stepped forward, her gaze sweeping over the landscape with a mixture of awe and reverence. "It's beautiful," she murmured, her voice tinged with wonder. "After everything we've been through, it feels like a miracle to be standing here." Jack's gaze lingered on his team, a sense of gratitude swelling within him as he reflected on the bonds forged in the crucible of adversity. They had come from different walks of life, each with their own hopes and dreams, but in the face of death, they had become more than just miners, they had become a family. "We couldn't have done it without each other," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "In the darkest moments, you were my light. And for that, I'll be forever grateful." As they stood together in the fading light, a sense of peace settled over them, a quiet acknowledgement of the journey they had undertaken and the strength they had discovered within themselves. They had faced death and emerged victorious, their spirits forever marked by the echoes of gold and the depths of peril they had conquered together. And as they turned their backs on the mine and set out into the world beyond, they knew that their legacy would endure long after they were gone, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of friendship in the face of adversity. For in the echoes of gold that lingered in the air, they found the strength to embrace life's challenges with courage and determination, knowing that no matter how dark the night may seem, the light of hope will always shine through, guiding them on their journey towards a brighter tomorrow. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and eyes set on the horizon, Jack and his team ventured forth into the unknown, forever marked by the echoes of gold and the depths of peril they had conquered together. If you are enjoying the Mystery Within channel, hit the subscribe, follow, or like buttons for future posts.